All right, the New England Patriots draft review time. So, just so you know, the chart next to me, what you're looking at, this is when the player was selected, what the player's name is, what position they play, and ultimately where they were ranked on the consensus big board. You see Will Campbell projected to go fourth. He went fourth. Sometimes at the top, you kind of just get that because teams know that that guy's going to go fourth, right? But ultimately, I mean, he is what he is. I made a whole video film study where I kind of just asked some questions about Campbell. Personally, I think there is some risk with okay, I don't really care about the arm length stuff in a vacuum, but like I do think that he is someone who will his build certainly fits the type. He didn't win a ton for what you typically like from a fourth overall player. He's still like a great prospect. He's still going to be good. I think the maybe underwhelming thing is he's not what usually goes fourth overall. That part is just true. He's not usually the prospect that goes fourth overall. But whether he has to play guard or tackle, he should be someone that can at least help out protect Drake May, which is kind of what you want here in this scenario. Then Trayvon Henderson, who could be a nice complement to Ramondre Stevenson. You get him in the mix, who could be a good running back there. Another guy who I made a film study on when this came out. Actually, I had film studies on these top 3 picks because Kyle Williams was a player that I fell in love with in this draft process. So I think he is a really underrated player. So when you have a couple of skill guys who can really potentially work and a good offensive lineman, you're just helping out the offense, helping out Drake May. I don't know if it's going to be an elite offense or anything like that around Drake May, but at least could be better, which is kind of what they need because it was pretty rough last year. I also do think that with the Josh McDaniels offense, they want to run the ball and they want to be able to have good route runners. Williams is certainly that. So, throw all that together, and I think for the first 3 picks, you're helping out your young quarterback, which is what you want. And honestly, even Jared Wilson, a center who was projected to go 80th, they get him at 95th. And again, sometimes with this, not every team needs a center. And so because of this, sometimes you just get guys who fall. You get players who maybe should be a little better or should go a little earlier who don't because there's just only so many teams that need them. Supply and demand, right? I think he's someone who could help. I mean, they also added Garrett Bradbury in the offseason, so I don't know if they need a center to come in and play right away. But again, getting a good offensive lineman to potentially have him play someday is not a bad idea. So more help here for Drake May, even if this is only help if there's an injury. Hey, it's pick 95. That's still helpful. We then have a quote-unquote massive reach here. Again, according to the consensus big board, it is the first. It will not be the last. Craig Woodson, a safety, who I will say, again, if you like PFF grades, did very well there. So, okay, there are people who like him. That's cool. That's good. It's not to say that guarantees he's going to be good, but there is some hope there at the very least with him. Ultimately, I don't know if he's someone that again, 6 feet tall, 210, has pretty good speed. Actually has really good speed. So you have that. Is kind of the player, though, that ultimately is mostly doing one thing. Mostly looking, see ball, go to ball type of player, which, hey, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to be higher on him. Usually when you draft a guy who's supposed to go pick 188, and you draft them at 106, usually they play like a guy who's supposed to go at 188. Could he be an exception? Sure. I mean, you have the intangibles. I think you just need him to potentially put it all together. Then they got someone, Joshua Farmer, who I wasn't shocked to see fall. I mean, the thing is, so he's someone who, again, looks the part, right? He is someone who is 320. What's interesting is that when he committed, he was at 250. So he's added that much weight to him. And I think that's what people are looking at, is he does have some highlights on his resume. And so you like the highlights. But then you think, well, he's kind of just still getting used to this weight. Let's see how things go. But ultimately, I just, I'm much more along the lines of the NFL of 137 made a lot more sense to me than when I saw him potentially being a mid third rounder, even a second rounder. I'm like, that seems a bit much. Ultimately, though, for where they got him, I have no issue with it. There is potential here, and it's pick 137. A player who I really liked was a player they drafted right after that, Braden Swinston, who, to me, he is someone who there are negative qualities in his game. Quite frankly, he is just straight up not a run defender. That's not what you're going to expect from a guy like him. Okay, fine. But what is interesting about a guy like him is that he is a really good pass rusher. And if you can get 300, 400 snaps a year, if he's a pass rush specialist, well, hey, there's value in that. And for a guy who 145 players went ahead of him, I'm surprised. I mean, again, he was projected to go 71st. So I think teams just don't want a guy who's going to kind of have that low of a ceiling. But I think he could be a pretty good player here at pick 146. So I do like that. We're not going to get into special teams. They did decide to select a kicker here, which so the thing is, in a vacuum, spending a 182nd overall pick on a kicker is pretty much if you get a good kicker out of this, that's totally worth it, right? Absolutely. I mean, guys are drafting gunners at this point. Certainly a kicker is worth that. Usually the issue is it's just really hard to draft kickers. It's a position that teams don't really nail. Famously, the Buccaneers spent a second-round pick on Roberto Agoyo. That didn't quite work out. He was off the team the following year. While there have been success stories, kickers just fluctuate so much. That's usually why they don't always get drafted. But if he hits, it will be a worthwhile pick. They then decided to select big offensive lineman Marcus Bryant, who is a 6'8" tackle at 320 pounds. So that's, you have the size there. Ultimately did not have incredible production, which is part of why he was projected to go 415th. But again, you're getting a guy at 220. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to say, hey, if you feel like there is a way that you can coach a certain thing up and get more out of him, well, pick like 220. Okay, you can do a reach here. That's okay. They then went a long snapper, which is always a move that gets some people going, I suppose. Listen, the long snapper value is a weird thing to discuss, I suppose. On one hand, I do think long snappers maybe matter more than people realize, because usually people just think of it as you made the snap or you didn't make the snap, and almost always the snap is made. But there are times when it's a slightly bad snap, the snap isn't perfectly there. So for a kicker, then they have to adjust, they miss it, everyone blames the kicker, even though the snap wasn't very good. Those kind of things happen. The holder and the long snapper matter. Again, usually people just, the general prevailing wisdom is a long snapper isn't worth a draft pick even this late in the draft. Finally, with pick 257, that is the Mr. Irrelevant pick. Yes, they somehow ended up with the Mr. Irrelevant selection here in this draft. They decide to go with Kobe Minor, who, again, I believe will just be a special teams guy. Doesn't necessarily seem to have the size to be a boundary corner or anything like that. That's what I'm assuming is going to be the case there, in which case would mean 3 out of the last 4 picks they spent on special teams, which might be a lesson here of the Patriots are trying to go back to the basics, being like the Patriots of old, perhaps, of not ignoring the little things, trying to focus on the little things. But also, I mean, the early part of the draft was about helping out Drake May, and I think they should have done, and I think they did do a good job at doing that as well. So ultimately, while, again, do I like every selection here? No. Is it exactly what I would have done? No. But do I get what they're doing, and do I think they did a good job at doing what they're trying to do? Yeah, I do. So ultimately, those are my thoughts on all of this. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.